Have you ever heard of the expression, an apple a day keeps the doctor away? Most assume we have no reason to think otherwise. That's simply because an easy thing to remember the rhyme that stresses the importance of eating healthy foods to young children. But the saying did not originate as a harmless reminder. It was born in a frontier town, often the early years of the gold rush, where food was scarce and money was even scarcer. One August, when a bad drought had struck the region, a series of bloody killings swept through the town. Every night, a single house would be broken into, and anyone who saw the invader would be swiftly, brutally slain. Nothing was ever stolen except for a few scraps of food. After 2 weeks of this, the local grocer set out a few apples and a glass of milk to the town square overnight. He hid them in the tower of the church, hoping to catch a glimpse of anyone who came by. Fighting fatigue, the grocer waited for any sign of life below. Then, just after midnight, he was rewarded by a chilling sight. A man carrying a black bag, stuffed with dully shining metal tools, and covered in head to toe in both bandages, staggered into view. He paused at the sight of the apples and milk, then whipped his head around, as if he was looking for the one who patronized him. Seized with fear, the grocer ducked out of sight, staying hidden until sunrise. The strange man had only taken a few apples and didn't even touch the glass of milk. No houses were broken into, and no one was killed for decades. The town continued to piece out an apple or two every night, even longer after a single apple stopped disappearing. And that, my little pretties, was an apple a day. I guess you could say a fury pasta. My final thoughts on this story? Well, I gotta say this one was actually pretty amazing. I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty good story. I'm gonna sit here and say that this story honestly was pretty good. Like, a lot of people really like to hear the saying usually about an apple a day keeps the doctor away. That's honestly, a good explanation as to why children should eat healthy. Now, I'm going to sit here and say I used to, I never understood this. I used to never understood this saying ever since I was a kid. I really don't know why. I never had, I never even saw that. Like, never even heard of that. Well, you could definitely say about that saying, or nor that I understand it when I was a kid. But eventually, I'm going to sit here and say that I actually really found this one to be, you know, quite amazing. So, of course, I'm going to sit here and say that I really liked how this story went out. It's a really well made story, really good and well made, and it actually has a pretty good, concept for what this one is. Now, I really do like how this story went out. It's a pretty good detail for what this one is. I liked how, the concept of its own self of how it went out. I do appreciate was the good grammar, the storyline, and the flow of the story. But there is a few issues. Like, they're not really major. Well, like, one of them is kind of a major issue, and I thought I should make an explanation about it, is that the story was short. Now, the story was short. I could definitely see why about that. Like, the story, even though it was good, it's still kind of short. Like, I wish there was, like, a little bit more explanation to the reason why that's the case, but yet again, I really don't know. I don't know if why it's short, but I really do wish that there was more explanation to what this one really was. I'm not really, entirely sure about this story, but I kind of heard I heard some narrations about this story. Like, I remember, I believe Dave the Useless was the first narrator who read the story. Not Maybe he did, but I'm not too really, sure, because that's the first narration I ever heard on, when I discovered this story. But yet again, what it's been, it was been a long time since I last sat there and, read this story or even go to this story. But I really remember. Oh, wait a second. I am wrong about, who first narrated the story. I actually, well, Dave the Useless, Dave the Useless, I remember him reading the story, and that was the first narration of the story I, came across when it came to that. And I also really remember that the third condition actually narrated this story like 10 years ago, like back in 2011. Like, holy hell, that's been like long time. And I really do like the one that Creepsmith did as well. I liked Creepsmith version of the story. I actually found it to be, enjoyable and nice. I really do find this one to be a pretty good concept, but of its own self, I have some things that I really need to say. Now, one of them being that it was a short creepypasta. You see, I don't mind, short creepypastas like this, but it's just, I wish there would have been more explanation as to what caused the drought in that. Well, probably no rain, or, yeah, about that. Like, it doesn't explain what year was, the drought and everything like that. Everything explained was taking place. Like, we don't get, like, a certain decade, century, or year. That's actually the only thing I really, am confused on as to when this all happened. I know this happened, like, maybe years ago, but still, I wish there was, like, more explanation regarding that story. Now, regarding about that, I really would have to say this story was a pretty good concept for what this is. I really found this one to be, enjoyable of its own self. I really found this one to be, pretty interesting and good, but I also find this one to be, quite of an interesting concept. Now, I really would have to say the concept of the story actually provided pretty good detail, but I really would wish that there was more explanation to the story, and I really do wish the story was longer, because in that way we would have more explanation as to what actually was the case for this or something. At least to me, that is. Not trying to sit here and, well, sound rude or anything like that. I'm just stating the facts. So, there's totally that. But I'm gonna be honest, this story was not a terrible one. I'm not gonna lie. It's a pretty good one. But what I'm gonna say right now is that the story may not be perfect, but it actually had a good concept and a really good, well, explanation as to, what happened. But I really wish there could have been more added to that. But I guess with that being the case, that being said, I'm gonna sit here and say this right now. Like I'm gonna say right now, and like I always continue to say, this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of this story would have to be a 10 out of 10. It's a great creepypasta. It was really enjoyable. It's definitely well made in detail. I wish there could have been a little bit more explanation to, what year, century, or day, or, year that the drought and all that took place. I know it must have been taken years ago, but I wish there was more explanation regarding those. So, that's just all I have to really say. But other than that, the story was not bad. It was pretty good. But despite the issues I displayed and, kind of talked about, I still found this story to be good. So, anyways, with that being the case, that being said, what did you guys think about this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what you have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload, so then you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.